Okay, so you're pregnant. And what even is sleep anymore? If that sounds familiar, I promise you are so not alone. Today, we're going to dive into one of the biggest and, let's be honest, most frustrating challenges of pregnancy. How to get the rest you and your baby so desperately need.
Let's just kick this off with a number that honestly, it might blow your mind, but also make you feel a little better. Research shows that up to 97% of pregnant women struggle with sleep. That's basically everyone.
Right? So if you're up all night, just know, you've basically joined a giant, super tired club. Welcome to Sleeppedia, a corner of the internet dedicated to the science of sleep and circadian rhythms. We're here to help you get some answers and hopefully some much-needed sleep. So let's get into it. Why is this happening? You know, these sleep changes aren't just random bad luck. They're a totally normal, if totally annoying, part of your body's incredible work getting ready for your baby. I mean, it is literally the perfect storm for terrible sleep. You got these hormones like progesterone, which is amazing for your pregnancy, but it can actually fragment your sleep at night. Then you add in the growing uterus, making it impossible to get comfortable, a million trips to the bathroom, and a brain that just will not shut off. It's no wonder sleep feels impossible. Okay, so while some of this is, it's just part of the package, but sometimes it can actually point to a specific sleep disorder. Just knowing what to look for is a huge first step toward feeling better and keeping you and your baby healthy. The biggest one you'll hear about? Insomnia. And we're not just talking about one rough night here and there. This is a pattern, and what's really interesting is how it jumps from affecting about a quarter of women in the first trimester to over 40% by the third. Which, when you think about it, makes perfect sense, right? And then there's this really frustrating one, restless leg syndrome, or RLS. It's that maddening, creepy, crawly feeling in your legs that makes you feel like you have to move them. The big thing to know here is that it's often tied to something as simple as an iron deficiency, which means it can often be fixed.
All right, and we also have to talk about obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. Now this one's a bit more serious. It's where you actually stop breathing for a few seconds at a time while you're asleep. The big clues are usually really loud snoring, maybe some gasping sounds, and feeling completely wiped out the next day, no matter how long you were in bed.
Now I want to be super clear. This slide is not here to scare you. It's here to empower you. It shows exactly why making your sleep a priority is so important. See, when you're not getting enough good sleep, it can mess with how your body manages things like blood sugar and blood pressure. That's why it's linked to a higher risk for gestational diabetes and preeclampsia. And just look at that number for postpartum depression. Taking your sleep seriously is one of the best things you can do for yourself and your baby. Okay, deep breath. That was a lot of the why. Now for the good part, the solutions. Let's talk about your Better Sleep Toolkit. These are real, actual things you can start doing like tonight. I'm sure you've heard this a million times, right? Sleep on your left side. But do you actually know why everyone says that? It's because sleeping on your left takes pressure off this huge vein, the vena cava. This makes it easier for blood to get back to your heart, which means more blood, more oxygen, and more nutrients get to your baby. It's such a simple little adjustment with a really big payoff.
Okay, let's talk about your bedroom. It can be your secret weapon for getting better sleep. Seriously, think of pillows as your new best friends. Wedge them everywhere, between your knees, behind your back, under your belly. Those big pregnancy pillows can be an absolute game changer. And keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. Your internal thermostat is running hot right now, so it's okay to kick off a blanket.
You know, what you eat, and just as importantly when you eat, can make or break your night. Try to get more iron-rich foods like spinach to help with those restless legs. And eating smaller meals more often can help keep heartburn at bay. But the real pro tip is timing. Try to cut off food and drinks a couple of hours before bed. It'll mean fewer interruptions from heartburn or, another trip to the bathroom. Okay, a good wind-down routine is like sending a memo to your brain that says, hey, we're shutting down for the night. The blue light from your phone or tablet really messes with your body's sleep signals, so try to put them away an hour before you want to be asleep. Try a warm bath, some light reading from an actual book, or just some calming music. The key here is consistency. Your body loves a schedule. So
All these tips and tricks can honestly make a huge difference. But sometimes you need to bring in the pros. And it's so important to know when it's time to just raise your hand and ask for a little help.
So take a look at these. If you're reading this list and thinking, hey, that sounds like me, please bring it up with your doctor or midwife at your next appointment. These could be signs of something that needs a little more medical attention. And remember, speaking up for your own health and your own sleep is a sign of strength. It's one of the best things you can do. All right, so we've talked about why this is happening, what to look out for, and a whole bunch of things you can do about it. The only thing left to do is, well, to do one of them. So just looking at everything we talked about, what's one small thing that feels possible? Which new habit will you start tonight? Because even one tiny change can be the start of getting some much better rest.